What's up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And guys, this will be the first video of many where I will show you exactly how I will work on the weak points in my physique, because I need to be perfection if I want to compete with the best of the world. And honestly, from now on, every time I do a show, it'll be a professional bodybuilding show where only professional classic physique athletes will be. And the shows that I choose will only probably have the top guys in the world. Many of the top 10 Olympia contenders will be joining the contests I will be doing, and of course the Mr. Olympia itself that I will be doing every single year. So I have to fix all the weak points that were revealed to me during the Mr. Olympia, and one of them is the triceps. The triceps make up most of the mass of your arm. The biceps that I have are quite good, but in comparison to the triceps, they simply need to be the triceps need to be bigger because they are too small right now, especially the long head of the tricep, which is one of the three heads. You've got the small head, the medial head, and the long head. The long head is the biggest head of the triceps, which needs to be increased in mass, needs to be worked on. So the first exercise we're doing right now, because I'm starting out with the triceps, is the rope push down. And it actually forces a lot of blood in the triceps, doesn't engage the elbow joint, and with that I mean it doesn't irritate it as much. Almost anybody can do this exercise without feeling any pain, so that's why I use this exercise first to get a lot of blood in the triceps, and then we're going to focus on exercises that work the long head the most. So one of the exercises that works the long head is the lying dumbbell tricep extension. I'm doing mostly 4 sets each exercise to really get a good pump, a good stretch, and a good contraction of the triceps, to really make them work and destroy them, only to be resurrected even stronger and bigger. So anyway, this is a perfect exercise to work both the medial and the long head of the triceps. So from this angle, you can see that it's kind of like a skull crusher with dumbbells, except what I'm doing, and you can see it from this angle even better, is I'm not pushing the dumbbells straight upwards, but I'm actually pushing them backwards. This is actually a tip that Phil Heath gave a couple of years ago on a video that I saw of him working the triceps. Don't think of it as pushing upwards, but think of it as pushing backwards. I also put the bench on an incline so that the stretch at the bottom is even more severe. You gotta imagine if this bench was straight, the tension at the bottom would be less. So putting an incline puts more tension at the bottom, increases the stretch, and gets you ready to get a nice pump from the tricep push down. The stretch is even more enhanced. And then we move on to do a very special exercise which my coach actually recommended to me to do. Of course, I've done many different variations of the regular underhand tricep push down, but this is different because I'm going slow on the negative. Sometimes we only think about the different exercises we can do and how many reps we can do and get a nice pump, but what about the, you got the contraction part, you've got the positive part, and you've got the negative part. On the negative part of the range of motion, you destroy the muscle fibers the most. You increase the time and attention there, and actually get the most bang for your buck. So more hypertrophy is able to happen if you go slow on the negative. So on this underhand tricep push down, what you're really working, you can really see it here, is you can see that long head stretch out as I'm going upwards, and that is exactly what we are working. And also put it under an angle, so your upper arms are in an angle, not straight down, so you actually get a better stretch at the top near the armpit where the tricep attaches to the bone, and that's where you want to see the stretch as well, because you can see that throughout this workout the tricep muscle belly is actually growing because blood is being pumped into that muscle. You can literally see the long head growing in size as blood is getting rushed into there, and then you can see actually the tendon attaching in the armpit area, and you can see the muscle belly of the long head of the triceps sticking out, and that is what we want in a relaxed position without a pump. That is what I'm going for, because then my arms are pretty much in proportion. So I just moved positions. Instead of having the support on my back, I moved to this position. It allows me to go a little heavier, and it actually puts stress away from the abs. Because if you can go really heavy on the triceps and you do the exercise I just did in a previous clip, it might actually put a lot of stress on the abs as well. But most important about this exercise, guys, is first, put your arms about a little closer than shoulder width, enhancing the stretch of the long head. Go very slow on the negative, so when going upwards, go very slow. And keep your arms in an angle to ensure you hit the tricep, the long head of the tricep, to the max and enhance the stretch. Because an exercise is not complete without a complete stretch and a full contraction. You can see that the contraction is full because really the striations are showing when I'm contracting, but the stretch has to be complete as well, and you can only really notice that by feeling it in your triceps. Now this is the very last set of this exercise, and sometimes you've already done 4 sets or 3 sets, you're at the last set, and the weight you picked isn't heavy enough. So what I'm doing is I'm slowing even more down on the way up, on the negative, to make the exercise even more difficult, and I'm increasing the reps a little bit to really enhance this last set of this exercise to make sure that I make everything out of it. And you can see the pump in the tricep is starting to exist. So during this side tricep, you actually saw that there was a curve in my tricep instead of just going straight down, which is what it usually looks like. And working a muscle group is not complete without doing at least one unilateral exercise. So I chose the unilateral rope push down. This is a perfect way, because it's unilateral, to focus on pretty much all heads at the same time. You don't want to neglect any head, any muscle of the muscle group that you're working. As I said, the triceps has 3 heads, so this rope push down at the start actually more worked the small head of the triceps and the medial head a little bit, but this one really works all 3 heads because you can move your arm any way you wish, and I'm moving in exactly in an angle which you then consciously are able to feel the long head, the small head, and the medial head all work together to really finish off the triceps. Because right now there's not much strength left in the triceps, but here you can really see that the pump is really starting to, exist, really be there. And when you get a great pump at the end of the workout, you know you did a good job. So what has also been a weak point, because my arms kept growing, my upper arms kept growing and the shoulders kept growing, the forearms actually stayed relatively the same. They were quite good at the beginning, like 1.5 years ago. The forearms were pretty good in comparison with the rest of the arm, but right now the top of the forearm, which Phil Heath is very famous for, is starting to lag a little bit compared to the upper arm, especially when you have a good pump. So I'm using this exercise to reverse cable curls to enhance the mass of the upper part of the forearm. And how do I do that? You gotta watch my wrists. I'm not only curling in reverse way, so putting my hand on top of the bar, but I'm also actually curling my wrists upward at the top of the rep to make sure that I contract that part of the forearm to the very max. And here you can see me showing the part of the forearm that I'm actually training during this exercise. You can see it moving right there. Is that little piece that I want to increase in size so it actually looks more aesthetic overall, especially when doing, poses like a side tricep or a side chest, of course. And some poses like the back double biceps that shows that part of the forearm. It needs to be very complete. You even have to think about the little muscles when competing at the Mr. Olympia level. So I'm going quite heavy with this as well. And actually, guys, when you have bicep injury pain or just feel a nagging bicep, working the forearms can actually help remove that injury, because sometimes the weak point in your arm isn't the place where you got the injury, but it's actually perhaps the forearm, for example. And right here, the last set, I'm going with a heavy weight and then going to a drop set until failure. So 2 times until failure, first with the heavier weight, and then I'm lowering the weight right here and going until failure again. For some people, failure really looks like you're dying, but to me, failure is not being able to complete a rep as it should be completed. So when I start swinging way too much, I might actually increase the risk of injury, which is not what I want. Anyway, guys, this was the tricep and forearm video of today. And just another tip, if you have weak points, you cannot train that muscle part as much as the other muscle groups in your body, otherwise the proportions will never change. What you have to do is simply take a complete day to work on that specific muscle group and nothing else. So I didn't do chest, I didn't do back or anything else. I just did the triceps, a little bit of the forearms to finish it off, and that's it. And I had a high day of carbs on this day to make sure the growth is accelerated for that muscle group. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching, and do not forget to stay golden.